At this time, I'll call the September 2nd, 2021 meeting to order. Would you please stand and join in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the agenda, we have 3 items to add to the agenda. First is that of a historic society grant application. The second item is an oil distributor truck. The third item is bids for the bridge steel on the Utah Fish Bridge. And I would move that we approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second that.
We have the motion and the second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The consent agenda includes the minutes of the August 26th meeting. It's payroll of $325,265.52. Wire payments for utilities of $8,596.05. Abatements of $9,575.94.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
We have the motion and the second for approval of the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Commission comments? Ron?
No comment today.
Craig?
Last Thursday after the meeting here, Janelle and I at my Zoom with the North Central Regional Planning Commission, there was 3
legislators.
I don't think there's any senators.
No, just 3 representatives.
Yeah. Brad, you might explain to him about the emergency management problem we're having, Brad, a little bit of the situation.
Well, yeah, Chancey called to my attention several months ago an issue that the state emergency managers are having with the adjutant general's office, the general himself. And in brief, what it comes down to is for the last 10 or 12 years, the North or the regional Homeland Security councils have prioritized a project they call incident management teams. And what that is it's local entities helping each other through the Kansas Mutual Aid Compact. And a good example of that was seen at Chapman when we had the tornado in 08. And again in 2016 when we had the tornado go through, where we made a couple calls, Chancey, John, and myself made a couple calls, and we had help here from every county across the state for the most part, within hours, if not minutes. And so we relied totally on mutual aid assistance throughout that whole endeavor. And it didn't cost us a dime because the other entities that came in to help forego those expenses. Since then, we have, you well know, we have spent or sent help in the way of Chancey's time and support back east to Sandy Hook or to the Hurricane Sandy event as part of the state compact. We have been to Butler County and different places for tornadoes and help. We've been to other counties around here and helped when they put out the call for help. And that's the way we all survived together. So bottom line is the Adjutant General's office has taken the initiative to change the incident management teams to more of a passive approach that the state would manage. I don't know how to say it any plainer in the fact we have no faith in the state to help us on disasters. They showed us during the Chapman incident just exactly how much they would help us. After the first 24 hours with the National Guard team that they sent us, they pulled them back and told us what it would cost for them anymore, additionally. And every time we called them for help, they said, well, yeah, we could send that, but it's going to be $600 an hour, $2,000 an hour, whatever the case is. The only reason we got that National Guard group the first 24 hours because they were sitting in Topeka. They were on their annual exercise, didn't have anything to do. So they sent them to us. They did a good job while they were here. I don't want to illustrate anything different, but we took them back after the first 24 hours. bottom line is we can't rely on the state. And so we have a real problem with that. The head of the state incident management group, which is the emergency manager from Franklin County, has sent letters to the adjutant general. I have sent letters as well as Chancey and others. And all we got back were letters that said that we're doing away with it. We've asked to meet with him. He won't meet with us. So I met with John Barker and he was gonna see what he could get done to try and arrange a meeting. And I suspect that may happen. I don't know. But bottom line is, we brought it up or I brought it up at the regional meeting to see what the other representatives knew. I think Steve Johnson said he heard something about it, but didn't know the details. He was very interested to know more about it and do some follow up. The other two were rather new, so I don't know that they had much of a take on it. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't know how that'll play out, but that's something that we probably ought to discuss next Tuesday night with our other counties, make sure they're all aware of it. I would hope their emergency management people have apprised them of that, because I think it's, if nothing else, in November in Overland Park, it really ought to be brought up. Because, we're going to have disasters, folks. It's going to happen, whether it happens here or some other small community or a bigger city. We're going to have each other's help, because we can't survive alone. And so we need to be prepared. We are very well prepared right now. I'm extremely comfortable with what's in place. I think I told you a week ago, 2 weeks ago Wednesday, I went over to Salina for an hour or two, because I think there were 60 or 70 counties represented there doing their big tabletop exercise, and to watch them work and go through the things. And, those guys they train a lot. They know each other very well. And all you gotta do is put out a text or email and they come running to each other's aid. And it comforts me to know that we have that availability if the chips are down here. And I just thank our lucky stars and the good Lord that back in the 2008 in Chapman, we had that help. I don't know what we'd have done without it. I honestly don't. We would have been in a world of big pickle. So we'll see how that plans out, but probably more than you wanted.
No.
But that's
That's a good update.
So
Or good information to
it's a
have.
serious situation. So
Anything you want to mention now with the North
I think you've covered it. I think,
Yeah, I mean, that was the main gist of it. They will be meeting for the last Thursday of the month, will be the third Thursday of the month, the next 3 months. Emily's going to be on maternity leave. So she'll be out of the office, but who's latest resigning?
Vicki Stebbins,
Yeah.
she was the treasurer of the group.
Yes, she's treasurer of North Central Regional. So they're looking for doesn't have to be a banker, but they'd like to have somebody in at Beloit before we sign.
Right.
He's prime, did it for years.
He did for your final Ealer.
That's all I have.
Okay. Okay. I do not have anything. So we're going to go ahead and move on. There are no petitions or proclamations. You did have something?
You might mention the fact that we did have trouble technically.
Yes, and I was going to mention that right now, because this is the time that we have for public comments. And sometimes we do have people that are listening in that would want to make a comment. And so we apologize that we're having trouble with the system. We had our IT person up here. We're working on it. The one item is that we are going to have this recorded as we do. So this meeting is available for review. And once again, we apologize that it is not live. So we'll work on that, continue to work on that, and hopefully have that solved. We'll go ahead and reports to county officers. Brad.
okay, as we talked a little bit in the work session, but Martin and I met with Brady Hedstrom Tuesday morning, and we talked about the bridge on Northwest 14th, west of the middle school. And we're looking at the most strategic way to get that into the KDOT program for assistance on funding. And obviously, we would be years out before that would come to fruition, but we're looking at those opportunities, gathering that information. So we'll have more to report back to that on that in the near future. Hopefully positive news. Janelle and I had, Janelle had talked to Chuck at the EDC. And you know what, now that I look at that, I did not get that printed off.
Oh, I'll go get some.
They have received a number of applications for the festival grants with the money. Oh, Janelle, I give it to you. I must not have made a copy for myself, so they've got it. I'm more efficient than I thought I was.
You need to read off mine or?
No, he's gonna.
Okay, thank you. And that's the list of those that, and their recommendations for the funding this year. Actually, you talked to him, why don't you go through them if you would?
So they had quite a few requests that came in, and they do have two that requested specific amounts. The others asked for whatever funding that they could get. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then they're holding one for next year. And that it ranges from the Wild West Gravel Fest, which is a bike across the county, to the Hope Heritage Festival, Heritage Days, Oktoberfest, Christmas in the Village, Woodbine Fall Festival, and then the golf tournament. So they do have one organization that they're waiting for some more information on. And if they don't get it, then that will not be funded. So these other organizations could have a little extra money coming to them. So, but all in all, I think pretty successful, and it has been over the years. So
The ones at the bottom that they were recommending not funding. I mean, our thought was that that's more of a local government function type deal and maybe wouldn't be as applicable to,
right,
you know, the fest, what we've called festival or special events type things.
and a nonprofit.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys concur with that. Why? They were just wanting to provide you with that listing and see if there's anything that jumps out at you that you would disagree with before they send out their notifications. So
Okay.
I was glad to see that we did get the response that we did. That's a good spread of support that we can provide to those organizations. So with no objection, we'll get back with Chuck and let him know that that's a good selection. You're good to go. So, okay. We talked about Clay Center Tuesday evening, so sounds like everybody will be there. In your package, you've got the year-to-date staffing reports from Diane. As you can see, we've had some pretty good activity last month. Had a few promotions that have been done in the sheriff's department, and obviously the promotions we did that I did with Emily, and then that Emily did with her assistant. So which are all very, very positive things. And then we've had a number of people leave, and the sheriff's department has, I guess everybody to some degree. We've got a couple jailers, a sheriff, dispatcher hired, Barb hired one, and then Martin was able to hire one. So I think Martin's down to one opening.
I think so.
I think Diane told me that the sheriff's down to one opening vacancy.
Appraiser's
So-
office still one.
Who?
The appraiser's office still one opening.
Yes, yeah, we're still short one in the appraiser's office to fill what we moved around there. So we're doing a lot better. And they did get some applicants that were applications for jail positions that I will say were found this morning or yesterday. And so they're confident they may be able to call a few people and fill a couple of the vacancies they've got there. They really had a tough time. They were down 5 or 6 here a week or two ago because they were already down 2 or 3 and they had a couple left to go back to college. And so, which that's a good thing that they're in college, but not so good that what leaves us in hole. And they were able to get a couple hired and working, but I know the undersheriff and the sheriff are actually working some shifts in the jail helping out last week too because of shortages. You also have year-to-date budget reports. Anything alarming there, Janelle?
No,
Anything in red?
and a couple of those, we're just waiting for some additional funding to come in. The good thing is our sales tax numbers are higher from last month to this month. They're down from last year at this time, but I think some of that is the reporting that happened. So, I mean, we're on target to hit our goals so easily, I believe. So, which is good.
Somebody asked me the question, I didn't know the answer. Imagine that. The farmer's market, Who do they report their sales tax to?
State of Kansas.
If we get the city of Abilene, get, or, I mean, well, I guess I shouldn't say that, I don't think they have, we have the county sales tax on that, we.
Oh, they will pay the city and county sales tax.
Okay.
They'll charge
But
me
it's self-reporting.
8.9% or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the state and the state divides it out to each one of us. Each one of them should be their own retail, have their own retail tax number that they
I
report.
think that is a requirement through that organization that they have that.
Is the farmer's market, is it individual or is it a group of,
It's individuals.
Individuals, yeah.
somebody asked me, and I said, well, I thought it was all individuals.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they have to commit a certain fee or something to participate in it.
That booth-
They have the guidelines.
Yeah.
And so they can't just show up randomly and set up a booth, and they kind of commit for the season.
Do we receive, and don't shoot me for this question, do we receive any tax money from other counties?
What type of tax money are you?
Yeah.
Well, I'll use, like in my business, for example, if I sell something in Geary County and that's the delivery point where the work is done, then it's coded as such that it goes to Geary County, or if it goes to Junction City or Clay Center and so on.
Wherever
And
the
so
county takes possession.
other businesses, and like in Salina, when they sell something that's delivered here, they should, but it wouldn't be the county wouldn't send it, it'd be the business
Oh, no, this is-
entity that would send it.
This is coming from a couple of commissioners in Morris County, that we were getting some of their tax money. And I was kind of confused that, why would we be getting some of the tax money from Morris County? And that was a comment they made. I'll follow up on that.
And they might be referring to like the 911 tax.
Right.
Because the Harrington Phone Exchange goes into part of Morris County, the people that would be within that 258 phone exchange would pay their, code goes to the Harrington 911 tax, which we get. There's several different taxes. The one Lynn's referring to is the destination-based sales tax. And so as a business, he would, wherever he delivers the material, the customer takes possession, he's still going to pay that sales tax to the state of Kansas, but he's got to earmark it, and it's a task. You got to earmark each county that you did business in and put, I did this much in Morris, this much in Clay, this, and then they divide it out and it comes back. So
Okay.
in some cases, I don't know about Lynn's, but it's resulted in businesses having to hire additional people just to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the size, and I think there's programs you can get, but the other thing is occasionally the state will usually send out and say, these are changes. And so, for example, when we added on the road tax years ago by vote, and that should have been a notification would go out. And there's certain city districts that have special sales tax applications. And so it's just to be aware of those.
And now with the internet sales tax being in place,
Mhm,
it could be somebody selling from the other side of the nation,
mhm.
that tax gets paid in. So, and then on top of that, every jurisdiction has a different sales tax rate. So I'll use Lynn for an example. If he sells something in Junction City, their sales tax may be a percentage higher than ours that he has to charge. So it's
9.75, we're 8.75, our county is 8%. Harrington is 10%. Hutchison, I think, is 8.25%.
I'll be darned.
whenever I buy anything, say, if there's something I order online from Kansas City, I have it delivered to my house if it's free delivery. Nebraska Furniture Mart's a good example. I have it delivered to Solomon. My wife always says, why you haven't delivered? We're here. And we'll have to wait a couple of days and the sales tax goes to Solomon, to Dickinson County.
And Clay Center has a higher sales tax rate. And then Marion County, for example, when they added the jail, they put on 10 years for a tax on that. So
So
they
they're all
got a little higher rate.
And if you're buying a vehicle, same way, same principle there, so.
Vehicles are a little bit different because the base sales tax goes to where you purchased it,
Mhm.
but anything above that goes back to the location where you live or where you register it. So that was their way of trying to divide it out so that vehicle dealerships that, for example, Olathe Ford doesn't get anything for Olathe if they're delivering a vehicle or it's registered in Abilene. So it's a whole different animal. Okay, and the last thing is we've We talked in a work session a little bit about the ARPA plans. Janelle's working on a spreadsheet and a presentation that will come back to you in a week or two. We'll schedule it on the agenda so that the public can watch if they want to and talk about what our recommendations are going to be for those funds and how to utilize those. We didn't get as much as some counties, but we did get enough that we can use those. Some of it's already been spoken for, but we think we've got some good ideas on our recommendation to spend the remainder over the next couple of years. So that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Doug?
Well, let's see, I prepared the permanent and temporary easements for the bridge project and sent those off to Shiloh. Those are taken care of. And I wanted to mirror what Brad was talking about with the tornado in Chapman. I was involved with that. I was a city attorney at the time. And when you talk about communities, what is the community response when their neighbors and their friends get into a problem? When Chapman's case, it was absolutely tremendous. The response was tremendous, and our emergency team was there very quickly. I was in town when that happened. We had just finished the city commission meeting and went home because we could see the problem. And I'd come back to my home here in Abilene, and then when John Anderson was talking about the tornado going on over, I went back to Chapman just as the tornado went through. And I was absolutely amazed at how quickly our disaster team was in place, secured it, because there were people coming through the town just gawking. And they weren't there very long before the team arrived. And I remember as we were set up by the middle school, and I remember counting the ambulances from other communities that came in. And there was 24 ambulances, bumper to bumper, that came in to help, not knowing how many people would be injured or killed in that event. And the response was absolutely tremendous. What a good job our emergency team did securing the perimeters and then moving forward with all of the things that had to be done, because it was overwhelming for a small community. And then when you talk about the community support for it, I had the chance to visit with Conrad Ricketts, who was the executive director of Extreme Makeover, and met with him. He flew back from Washington to meet with me in Manhattan. And I explained to him about our community and the history of it. And he said, your town's not big enough to be able to support a number of volunteers to come in and do a project that Extreme Makeover would participate in. And as we talked about it, he said, I'll give you a shot at it. I'll give you a shot. And I said, Conrad, what's the most people you ever had volunteer for one of your Extreme Makeover shows? 1,755 in a community north New York State. And I said, do you have T-shirts that you give to these people? Yes, we do. I said, how many do you have? He said, I got about 1,000. He said, it'll be more than you could possibly use here. And he set up his facility, his offices in our museum. And when the call went out for volunteers to come in, and I assured him, I said, Chapman is bigger than it is because of a school that people from all around the area have come in on feeder buses and so forth. And I said, you'll be surprised. He said, well, we'll see. And so when he sent the call out, there was 5,355 people who volunteered. They were able to use just about, I think I wrote down a number that was about over 3,500 people that said that they would help, came in and helped. And so would the other 1,800, but he didn't need those people. The most that they ever gave, and Conrad when the call went out and the response came by, he came into the office and he said, I need to use your phone. I said, well, who you need to call? And he said, New York. I said, what for? We need more T-shirts. And so that was absolutely tremendous, the response that the community had for their neighbors who had been badly damaged property and the schools and so forth. And it was tremendous. And so those are memories that stick with me from the very beginning, how well organized our disaster team was to come in and secure it, and the response from the other communities and other counties that came in, and then those numbers that came in to do the Extreme Makeover. And as a result of it, of course, it was a 2-hour special for that season. That was their opening show for a 2-hour special for the Extreme Makeover, all on Chapman. And it was a tremendous response for him. And of course, not only was the Hero House built, but also they did several other smaller projects. And then we had that kind of a funny little story with it when Conrad and I met over in Manhattan, and he said, I need you to be available to talk to our advanced team with whoever you think you can put together for contractors. And I said, when do you want to do this? And he gave me a date. I said, I can't do that date. I've got to be out of can't a word. And he goes like this right by my nose. And he said, listen, Doug, can't a word we don't use on extreme makeover. So, okay, all right, I'll be there. We'll make it happen. So the plans called for that community center to be built. And I'm in the production studio because I was on air with Ty quite a bit. And so we're sitting in there and Conrad comes to me and he said, Doug, can I visit with you? And I said, yeah. And he said, Doug, we don't have time to build that community center. And I put my finger right by his nose and I said, Conrad, can't's a word we don't use on extreme makeover. And he laughed, we all laughed, and he said, we'll get her done. And that community building is built because of it. And so the response it was the response from the community and the work that the team put together in securing it, because there could have been disasters at the very beginning with so many people coming in, but they separated the viewers from those people who had some real interest. I have family there. I have some family there, and they coordinated that. But I was just amazed at how well respected Dickinson County was with the other areas of the state to send ambulances in that were that fast. 24 of them, as I just stood there and watched. I said, wow, that is absolutely amazing. What a response to be a part of that team, because that tells me that Dickinson County does the same for them. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Seemed like it was that far long ago, but it's a few years back.
Yeah, it was June of 08.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. Notices and communications we have from Oklahoma LED, and just kind of a solicitation or a reminder that they can help us with our lighting if we're interested. We also have our county news that is sent out that all the commissioners receive. And then I did receive a letter from the Eisenhower Foundation. And this particular year, because of the museum being closed or restrictions on it, and some of the other things, they always have their special event in October, and they're going to utilize some of the Zoom and go ahead with some of the recognitions as far as leadership awards and so on, but also encouraging if someone wants to participate financially, that that's part of the purpose of that, is to bring recognition and awareness, but also to raise some funds. And so it's a request for a contribution that anyone can make individually. I think we did receive one other letter or an email in regards to the passport, whether there's proof of vaccination. And of course, that's something that's beyond what we're involved with as far as regulations for airlines and international travel and passports. So maybe something like that, they should notify the senators and congressmen would probably be the follow-up on that. Is there any other notices and communications anyone has?
I don't have anything.
Lynn, I did get one. I got a message from Julie Roller Weeks earlier this week, and I forgot to include it. She had met with the Greyhound people that had their conference here for their convention a couple of weeks ago. And they're the ones that utilized the air conditioning out at the armory. And they wanted to express how appreciative they were and impressed that we had gone to that length with the fair board and us and securing that to make their event positive. So they wanted to express their appreciation. In fact, they were impressed. So I just happened to think about that.
Okay. Sounds good. So now we'll go on. We do not have any resolutions to consider, but we did have some items that were added to our agenda. And the first one being a grant application to the Historical Society, and what they're asking is a letter of support from the county commission of the Dixon County Historical Society's application for funding is to support the improvements to the Union Electric Warehouse building located in Abilene, Kansas. And then it gives some information on that. And so we'll need a motion to send this letter of support on behalf of Dickinson County to the Historical Society grant application project.
I'll make that motion.
We have the motion and the second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item we have, and Brad, I'll ask you to brief us on this, on an oil distribution truck.
Yeah, so we kind of prepped you a little bit last week. Martin had spent this week looking, and he did find a truck that has come off lease, like we mentioned. It would be a purchase from Van Keppel, who is a vendor that we deal with regularly. And this is going to be a 2022 Kenworth chassis. It has just like 300 hours on it, I think.
331 hours,
Yeah.
4,100 miles.
So it's barely used. The list price on it is over $200,000. And the price that they have quoted us, since it is off lease, is $185,600. Martin sent the mechanics down to look at it, and it's in Oklahoma actually. And they felt like it would be a really good purchase. So we would like to go ahead and secure that. He also thought that by putting the other one on Purple Wave, it would still be worth $30,000 to $40,000, even at the age of it. So we will plan on getting that surplus with you here in the future weeks and get that listed. But our recommendation is to go ahead and purchase that at $185,600. And I think that's out of capital. We had it in the capital, something we've been planning on for years. So we've had it in the plan.
Approximately how many years would we have use of this truck as far as?
One we got about 20 years old. So
Okay.
And it was purchased used if I'm,
it was purchased used, yes.
Right.
And it wasn't an off lease use. It was much more used than what this is. So I would say, of course, you don't know what technology will change, but oil's not going to change a lot. But 20, 25 years would not be out of the line. So.
But even in terms of a decade, the annual use, when you start spreading out how long we'll have use of this.
That reduces that annual cost. And I know that keeping equipment like that, getting it cleaned properly, and this, from what Martin tells me, this new technology has the ability to auto clean it itself. So you don't have to go through and take all the spray heads off and clean them in diesel fuel and all that stuff every day. It is diesel operated heater instead of propane. There's been a lot of changes in technology, but then keeping it inside makes a big difference too throughout its life. And so they'll have the ability to keep it inside as well. So.
Any questions from the commission or a motion?
Kind of warranty they have on this.
I don't know if there's anything on there
I
with
think
it.
it's a warranty that basically is what you'd get from a new vehicle.
Since it's a 22 Kenworth, I'm sure it still has the remainder of the factory warranty on the chassis. I don't know. I can't answer that on the distributor. Greg.
I doubt they have one on the distributor because it's not like it's got a motor on it.
Right.
I'll make motion to Greg Martin authority to purchase for
185.6.
$125,600.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have the motion and the second. Later, at a later date, we'll put the other on surplus.
Yeah, we've got several items of surplus, and that'll be one of them.
That doesn't have to be included now. Okay. We have the motion and the second. Any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item we have, and Brad, once again, I'll call on you regarding the bridge, steel, the Utah Fish Passage Bridge.
Yeah, this is a bridge that we're going to plan to replace at 1467 Utah Avenue. You don't hear Utah very often. It's not very long. And the guys have gotten bids from our vendors. You've got the sheet in your packet there. The I-beams and flat iron came in. We had 3 vendors with Wellborn Sales out of Salina being the low vendor. And then for the push sheeting and guardrail, we only had 1 vendor that responded, which is typical, which is again Wellborn. Their 2 low bid prices were $46,857.64. Now, remember with the fish passage sites, the federal government pays the material. So we'll get reimbursed for that. We provide the labor. So, but we have to expend it first to submit it. So
Okay. I'll go ahead and make the motion that we award Wellborn Sales for the materials on this bridge replacement, and that total of the 2 items, the angle iron, flat iron, I-beams, and the sheeting, $46,857.64.
I'll second that.
We have the motion and the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We do not have any unfinished business. We did have under other business to appoint a voting delegate and alternate for the KAC conference in October, and that will be in Overland Park.
actually you did K-Camp and K-Work, and it was kind of interesting because when we did the K-Camp, I told, or K-Work, I said, let's do them both because they'll send it. And I got back to my office and it was there. So we sent those in, and I actually got a comment back from the gal at K-Camp. He said, man, that was fast. We just sent them out. So this is KAC. It's the last one that you have to decide. Yeah. So, and of course you did Craig and Ron for the delegate and alternate. In the past, you put me as the third alternate because I've never had to be there, but anyhow, it's up to you guys.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make the motion. I will serve as a delegate for that, and then the alternates, the other commissioners and Brad.
I'll second that.
We have the motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm saying aye also to that. Opposed? Motion carries. We do not have any other business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Before we go to adjourn, I set up the other commissioners, Brad, sometime in October, November, the 2 of our new facilities. And we'll maybe look at the bridge and the road work we've done.
Yeah.
They have to out this landfill.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, we've never even been out there. So
The doors are up now in the building.
they were supposed to be, and I haven't heard from Derek.
Well, I was by there the other day, they were out working on them.
Yeah.
Trying to come in that way this
I
morning.
know they were installing, they had to call the electricians in because that's 3-phase power. So, yeah.
We can do it, after, let Brad decide where we want to go and, maybe after the meeting, I don't know that there's maybe.
Coming in
For
before,
the work study or something?
we wouldn't have enough time before the work.
Yeah, we can do it after.
Unless we go 2 directions.
Well,
But anyway, yeah,
yeah.
we'll let Brad facilitate that, work it out. Good idea.
And it'll cool off a little bit
Yeah,
in the middle or towards the end of September or October.
but like I said, some of the big packages we've done, I've got time to put a couple of those, I know we done that 4 years ago.
If we do it right, we can stop at Brigida's and wood binding lines. That's always good too.
I move adjourn.
I'll second that.
We have the motion and the second to adjourn. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.